And I'm live. That is cool. Today is 9th of August 2025, Saturday, and let's just start doing questions, which is cool. New CP31, and I have only two questions remaining at 1200 level. Then I have to go through. There are like also questions remaining which I tried to do but couldn't. There are three, and yep, these two are remaining, and that is what I will do right now. I have to check if my Emacs is online, and it is. Let me just restart it. Emacs attached, TCP, go to 1200, start new VM, district connections, stopwatch. And when I start this, of course, I will not be interacting, and I can put this thing on. That is cool. That tells you that I will not be interacting right now while I'm solving the question. And I can just, I guess I can begin. Cool. -1, two-way roads. 5,000. Okay. Yes or no, and if yes, then the pairs. 1 with 2, 1 with 3, 3 with 1, and 3 with 5, 5 with 4. I have 4 at one corner and 2 at one corner. No for this. It is just shit. Uh, if shit, shit. Shit, yes. Yes, yes. She. Ah, shit. Okay. Cool. Yo, Tushar Wars Undefined 810. Hello. I think I will get this right now. It is taking long. It is taking long. It shouldn't take this long. Just on test number one. On test number two. Okay, it is taking quite long. Is my internet fine? Yeah, it is fine. Accepted. Cool. 28 minutes. Yeah, 28 minutes is a very long time for this question. And this one was simple. This one was not that hard. And when I looked at this thing, this gave me the clue of the direction in which I should be thinking. And yeah, because earlier I was thinking that one town could only be connected with at most two other towns. But here, this one town is connected to three other towns, and this made the solution very simple. And I got it right after that. And hey, bro, I wanted to summarize. Yep, you can. That is cool. You can. And this one took me 28 minutes. Save. Next, I'll be doing this one. But before that, let me predict the tags. The tags would be greedy. And yeah, greedy would be one of the tags. And it is not. It is BFS and constructive algorithm. But I did it with greedy, something similar to greedy. And yep, there is quite a bit of lag. District tutorial. So in this question, we have been given towns, and towns are controlled by gangs. And for every test case, we have been given in first line the number of towns that we have. Like here we have 5 towns, and in the second line, it is given the first town is controlled by gang number 1, the second by gang number 2, the third by gang number 2, the fourth by gang number 1, and the fifth by gang number 3. And what I had to do is find out, is there a way in which I can connect these towns either directly or indirectly in a way that one town that two towns controlled by the same gang are not connected directly. That is, in this, I can connect this town number 1 with 2, and this one with this 2, and this one with this 3, but I cannot connect this one with this one because that would result in a conflict, and that is not something that I want. And in this, I cannot have that. There are all the towns belong to the same gang, so I cannot have connections which do not have direct pairing of towns which are controlled by the same group. So for this, answer would be no. And if I just have two distinct gangs controlling, let's say, all the towns, even then I would have an answer because I can take the first town which is controlled by any gang and pair it up with all the other towns which are not controlled by that gang, and then take the first town which is not connected by the first gang in this case which is 2, and then connect this 2 with all the remaining instances of this first gang town, like here it is 1, and just do that. So as a working professional, should I deep down to CP or lead code would be fine. Well, you are a working professional, I am just in my college, but I guess CP and lead code, they help you develop in a way that is necessary, in a way that helps you in thinking in programming terms, and your choices between CP and lead code. So I guess because CP concerns itself with the speed and getting the thing right in the first try, and when you are working as a professional, it is not that important. And so I would suggest you to go and do lead code instead. Lead code would be much better for your case because getting better at CP is very hard and very frustrating, and yeah, it is not that much worth it if you are a working professional. So I would say you can go to LeetCode and you can develop your DSA skills, and which would help you in getting a better job or something equivalent. And with that said, the district connection. If all districts belong to the same gang, then the answer is no. Otherwise, the answer is always yes. Yeah, as in the previous problem, how to construct it. Let's choose the first route as the district one and connect all other districts I that in which are not controlled by the first gang to the district I. So one. So all disconnected districts that remain are under the control of the first gang. Let's find any district I that is not equal to the first and just connect all the remaining districts to that gang, and that is what I did. So this one was cool. And what I can take away from this problem is that I have to like actually wait and consider what is being asked and look at the solution. And if I had looked at the solution, I would have done this maybe in 10 to 15 minutes. And now I will go to the second question, which is cool. Oh shit, this was on this whole time. Okay, this will be on since I'm going to do another question now, which is this one. And let's go. A and I is greater than their XOR. A and I is greater than their XOR. And Cool. Correct answer. Let's see. Brian started learning Java and this accepted. Cool, very cool. Uh, I did that in 17 minutes. That is cool. Okay. Uh-huh. Brother, I started learning Java and I am currently in a second year student. What would you suggest me? Well, how much have you learned since you share the same name as me? Just you have Gupta at the end. And do you honestly think that how much you know is it enough for a job? So you can ask yourself that question, and if it is not, which it probably is not, then you should work hard and learn new things, build stuff, and do stuff like that, crazy stuff like that. Can you figure out why? Yeah, and then you can easily figure out the number of pairs. Which year are you in? I am in second year. Um, Now in third year. My second year exams just ended, freshly in third year, and I am from a local college near my house. And yep, Mr. Why that would be the case when the MSB in both the numbers is same, and that is what I'm looking at here. Maximum would be log of the biggest number, since I have sorted in descending order. Then take the log of the biggest number, convert it into an integer, and take the highest power of 2 that is lower than the biggest number, put it equal to max, and see how many numbers are equal than this. Keep a current running counter which would count the number of numbers which are either equal to or greater than this maximum number. And if I see a number that is smaller than that, then answer is increased by the number of pairs I can create given this number of counts, which would be count into count minus 1 divided by 2, and then initialize count equal to 1 for the current number that I am at, and then maximum, reinitialize maximum given the new number, and then when I'm out of the loop, then also count the number of numbers, pairs I can make with this count, and that is cool. That is what you do. Technical boy. Shit. Thank you for the support. And is my stream online now? Shit, what was that? I think it is good now. I hope so. YouTube does not feel so happy. Shit. The same thing happened yesterday. And error waiting no data stream health and error YouTube is not receiving enough data. It should be working now. And if it is, can any one of you in the chat tell me if it is working fine? Shit, this is horrible. YouTube is not receiving enough data. Is that still the case? Number of viewers is going down. But the thing is the stream still working? Which I can check. Of course, I can check. Yep, live. Is the stream? Yep, seems like fine. Seems fine. Yep, that is cool. That is cool. Excellent connection. That is cool. Yep. And now I have done all of these questions. And now the plan is, well, first of all, see the tags. This uses maths. Yep, maths and bit mask. Okay, that is what you call a bit mask. This uses maths, and I would like to read the editorial, and I guess they use the same thing. Lever, think of a simple criteria when this and okay, yep, fine, thank you. Think of a simple criteria when this and this is greater than equal to 0 by considering the bits from the highest to lowest. Apply your observations to calculate the answer fast, and I did. So that is cool. Rock and lever. Let's take a pair this and see in which case. Hmm, yeah, this is like, I guess, similar to what I did. And the time complexity of my solution is not this. The time complexity of my solution is n log n because I'm also sorting the thing. Have they done this without sorting? Let's take a pair AI, AJI, and see in which case this is true will hold. For this, we will follow the bits AI and AJ from highest to lowest. If we meet two 0 bits, the value of this and this will match in this bit. So we move on. If we meet a 0 bit in AI and AJ1, then and will be lower because and will make that bit equal to 0, but XOR will preserve that bit, and we can immediately say that the required condition is false. And if we meet two 1 bits, then we can say our condition would be true, and then this bit can no longer be considered. And then I do not have to look at the other bits. Now let's consider the highest 1 bit in the number AI. The highest 1 bit in the number AI, let it stand at position Pi, and the highest single bit in the number AJ, let it stand at position PJ. Here we consider the bits are numbered in order lowest to highest. Then this must be true. If this pair satisfies our given condition, then Pi equal to Pj. Would there be a 0, and then there is 0 in AJ position and 1 unit in the AJ position. But then the reasoning above, we get that this would be lower than this, then this case is treated the same. So we want where Pi equals Pj. So you can convert the array from this to that and see how many numbers there are by using a map. Okay, from here the problem is solved. For each number, we find the position of the highest 1 bit. Then we need to calculate the number of pairs of numbers for which Pi equals Pj. You may notice that the answer is this way. KL is the number of numbers. Yeah. KL is like count, equivalent to count. They are doing k into k minus 1 divided by 2, and that is what I did here. Count into count minus 1 divided by 2, and then for which Pi equals Pj, and the time complexity. Why would the time complexity be equal to this thing? Because you want, I guess, because of mapping. Would use map. What the heck is wind eagle? But I guess they might be using map. Okay, this is constant. Okay, you are going through all the numbers from 0 till 29 and checking how many numbers have their highest bit equal to this number. Makes sense? Makes sense. You can do that. So the time complexity would be 29n, which is actually better than the time complexity that I had. So that is cool. And stream is also fine. Did this in 17 minutes. 17 is fine. And now the plan is to do some lead code questions using this roadmap. Why is this so long? I guess all the problems are in this 150 problems. To do this thing as fast as possible and also not to just get this done, but understand what is being said in this, because I want to get familiar with all of these topics about array and hashing, then two pointers, have do some practice on two pointers, then binary search, sliding window, linked list, then trees, then tries, backtracking, graphs. Graph would be nice. Then maths, geometry after graphs. Yeah, this is a nice roadmap by Neat Code. So that is what I will be doing now. And yeah, mostly these are done except these three, which I will do on my own, maybe off stream. Point to the array, collecting games. I've done all the questions on 900 level. At 1000, there are 4 remaining. Okay, now enough yapping, and I'll get to the questions. Yep, I think I've done this before. Yep, I did this before in Python, but now I'm doing it in C++, and that was a very long time ago. March is not that long ago, but yeah, I have to get these topics right now. Given an integer array nums and an integer k, and while solving this thing, my main goal is not speed, my main goal is learning. That is, the problems that I'm solving here, do I understand them? Can I replicate them? And yeah, the main goal is not speed, the main goal is actually solving the problem. So let's go. Given an array, integer array nums and an integer k, return the k most frequent elements. You may k two most frequent elements, one most frequent element. Okay, I can do and value constraints are like this. Okay, so I can, the thing that jumps directly to my mind is create an unordered, create a map, but then how I could actually sort it afterwards, given its values, using a custom sort function in a by a lambda expression. And I can keep track of an array in which I will only add distinct elements, and I will be counting the frequency of those elements in my map, and then I can sort the array based on the values. The time complexity would be, I guess, n log n, but the constant factor in map, in ordered map, could be high, but let's see. I guess that would be fine. And vi, and I don't need to know the index. So auto x nums and mp x plus plus, increase it. And okay, if mp dot count, or more correct would be mpx, if mpx, then nothing. If not mpx, if not mpx, then vi dot push back x, and no matter what, just increment this right afterwards. Sort vi dot begin vi dot end and a custom lambda function int I int j and return map I most frequent greater than map j, and I and j are values from inside vi and not the indices. Okay, and then for int I equals 0, I less than k, I plus plus c out, not c out, but yeah, return an iterator starting from vi dot or vector int with iterator starting. Can I give a range? No, I guess vector int answer and vi answer dot push answer dot pushback vi I return answer, and this should work. That does work. You are submitting too frequently, my bad. And that is one of the most horrible solutions that there is, which is horrible. Okay, what can I improve? The constant factor is taking most of the time. Initializing a map, then adding stuff to the map and to the array, adding all the distinct elements, and then do this. Can I do this better? I need to know the counts and the distinct numbers, and then at the end, I need to output the highest numbers. That seems like a dictionary. Let's see how we can do this in a better way. Unordered map. Yes, I can do an ordered map. Would that help? I guess yep. Yep. Unordered map is faster. Unordered map is faster, and yep, because it uses hash instead of a binary tree. And this gives correct answer, but how much does it affect the speed? It does affect the speed. Okay, shit. So unordered map is that much faster. Okay, I guess it is because this inserting is taking most of the time when I'm inserting element here. Because unordered map, to insert one element, it takes n log n time, and then to retrieve it, it also takes n log n time, which is horrible. But the upside is that I can get all the keys in a linear sorted order, but I do not want that in this case. So this was the thing that I was lacking, an ordered map. And is there anything better that I can learn from this? Yes, the main goal in this is learning. Learning the things that I do not know about. Yep. This guy creates size, a vector, and a map. And this is the lambda function that I provide, but he has or she has created this separately, and then they create a priority queue of template T, which they have defined T as struct, of number and frequency which mirrors a key value pair. Okay, vector int answer, unordered map, then compare, and then priority queue. This is much more complicated than it needs to be, but let's see. N, then a vector, then an unordered map, then they create a compare function which takes in two references of struct t and return the one with the higher frequency. Return true if the first one has a higher frequency, and then they create a priority queue of type t, which stores type t, and the value. Why would you have two things in okay, I guess I do not know what inputs a priority queue takes. Priority queue CPP reference. Container. This is what, okay, okay. So in this, they are creating a priority queue in which every element will be of type T, and that all the elements will be stored in a vector. And we could have given inside this, instead of a vector, we could have said we want a DQ or anything else. Yep. Vector and DQ are, I guess, two options you can have your priority queue stored in, and then declare type compare. Okay, I don't know what declare type is, and it is called min heap, and the compare function is compare function which they created a, which is a lambda expression, and then they iterate through numbers and increase count num. What is count? Count is the unordered map, so they are keeping track of all the things. Okay, and then for auto, deconstruct count num and frequency and put them in a min heap. Okay, okay, okay. So the part in my code, I am creating a vector answer and then sorting it based on the frequency of the elements that appear in that vector. But this person is creating a heap to do that, which takes in more, which takes a lot more time than my solution does. And yeah, this seems like overly complicated for a simple sorting task. And pop, pop, and you return answer. Answer is declared here, and you are adding stuff to the answer from the min heaps top. Okay, cool. I can go to the next question now. This one is done. Encode and decode strings. That is cool. Or it might be shit. I can do this here on Neatcode's website. But I guess this guy does not have a Neovim. There is Neovim. Neovim is here, which is good shit. Neovim is good. Okay, design an algorithm to encode a list of strings to a single string. The encoded string is then decoded back to the original list of strings. So no loss encoding. Please implement encode and decode. That is crazy. How can one do that? Given a string, I have to encode the whole string into something and then decode the whole string into something else. So string encoded, and given a list of strings, I need to decode it. I need to encode the string, and the simplest thing would be to join them and then keep track of the indexes in which they were stored. And since I need to decode the whole thing into a string, since I need to okay, I need to return the string afterwards. Okay, so I don't need anything like this. Okay, string answer and print I equals 0, I less than strs dot size and I plus plus. And now I have every string, and I don't need the index, so auto s in strs, and then for every character I'll add this. Given a string for auto c in every s, I will do answer plus equals c, and after adding every string I have to add some special character, let's say 0. Yep, that is good. And then at the end, return answer. And when given something like that, vector string answer, and now I have s. So for int I equal 0, I less than, I don't need the index. So for auto cns, if c, if it is not equal to 0, if s dot size greater than 0, if s dot size greater than 0, then answer dot push back empty string. And yes, this, no, if this is empty, then this I would never enter this. And inside I have to create a new string to put inside that thing, but only if this is the first time. Okay, bool f equals true, and if f, then push back ans dot push back empty string, and f equals false. And inside here I will always have a string, so answer dot size minus 1, or I could say I equals 0, and I equals minus 1 actually, and here I plus plus I plus equals c, else if I am at the end, then f equals true. Makes sense. Cool. Return answer. Let's see, because this should work. or this might not work. I think I cannot do this. Okay, char 0. Okay, cool. And that is accepted, which is cool. I tried to do this in March on the same year, but I couldn't, and now I got it right in the first try. And I guess my Python code is it horrible? Lengths, Forester and stars, append the length, and shit. This is actually kind of horrible. But this is much better because you do not have a valid character which is represented by 0. So that is cool. Long time no see, brother. Hello, ethics. How are you? And so that's good. I can move on to the next question now. Now that I have done this encode decode, now here to the next one. Product of array except self. Given an integer array nums, return an array answer. Integer array nums give return an array answer such that answer I is equal to the product of all the elements of numbers except this. The product of any prefix or suffix of nums is guaranteed to fit into this. So that is very seems like very easy. Int pp equals 0 initially, and for auto x in nums pp multiply equals x. Now you have this, and vector int answer, and I can actually specify the size, which will make this much faster. And n is not a size, so int n equals nums dot size. And this seems to be lagging, but is the stream also lagging? Stream seems fine, right? And then for int I equals 0, I less than n I plus plus, and then answer I equals pp divided by nums I. I hope it is not 0, except 0. Shit, if it is okay, okay, 0 is troublesome. 0 is troublesome. If there is a 0, then I get everything except the 0. Okay, so I would like to have just this, and also I would like to know how many zeros there are. So int z equals 0, and if x if x only then multiply, else x not, then z plus plus. And when I'm doing this, I do this except when it is a 0. So if nums I, if there is something, then I will just do simply this, except if I do see a 0. If I do see a 0, then I need to see how many other zeros there are. So if there are other zeros, if z greater than 1, if z is greater than 1, then answer I equals 0, right? Else answer I equals pp, and at the end return answer. That seems nice. Or maybe not yes, of course, shit. This is Z. This is supposed to be Z, not X. And why is there a random K in here? Yep. Mm. Okay, that is bad. Oh yeah, shit. Only add this, if this, and not Z. Shit. I should have seen that coming without any zeros. Shit, I will not look at the error. If x is 0, then zz would increase to 1, and if the current number is something and there are no zeros, no zero would mean would make z equal to 0. Mhm. Okay, makes sense. If nums I, okay, answer I would be equal to pp divided by nums I. Makes sense. Else, okay. Now answer pp equals this. If z, then 0, else this thing. If z is something, then 0. If z is 0, then this. Okay, okay, that is cool. That is cool. One of the best solutions. That is fine. Long time no see. I am good, brother. What about you? I am also good. I think I have improved. And now I also have a bit of structure into my learning. So that is good. And in this, can I learn something? Okay, this guy creates a prefix and a suffix, and prefix equals starts at 1 and suffix starts at 0, and do not tell me he does something very bad. And product is nums 0. Okay, and then you start iterating from the first element to the last element, and prefix I equals product. Okay, and prod, so you just multiply prefix and suffix when you are returning. Yes, and return. Okay, I do not like this solution because this is using two for loops. You could have done this using, well, I am making this for loop. This one is for all the things that I need, and this one is for getting the data that I would need for my solution. And shit, this for loop is for getting the data that I would need for my solution, and this for loop is for creating the answer array. And in this code, we have two for loops for getting the data that is needed, and one for loop for creating the answer, which I do not like, and that is why I guess it says 100% here. And now I will move on to the next question. Hola, hola amigo. At what age did you learn first to code? At when I was 20 years old, like I guess 1.5 years ago, and I have been doing coding for like on and off, but now I'm very serious about it, and I want to be one of the best programmers in the whole world. Yep, one of the best. Now I am in engineering first year, so what are your mistakes I avoid, bro? Okay, do not think of programming as something that is distant. Okay, take it seriously, because since you are in engineering, your job, your day job will be programming. So do not take it as a joke. Okay, take it a bit seriously and be curious about it and keep learning stuff and don't be afraid. That would be the advice, I guess. And determine if a 9 by 9 Sudoku board is valid. A 9 by 9. 9 by 9 is crazy. Shit, 9 by 9 is actually crazy. What? Okay, 9 by 9, I can do. First, I will go through like this, then through like this, and then I will check individual boxes. That should be cool. That would take 9 by 9, then 9 by 9, and then something like that. So yeah, 9 time complexity also would not be that great. So for int I equals 0, I less than 9, I plus plus. For int j equals 0, j less than 9, and j plus plus. And boolean size. I want to get an array on the stack boolean. I can use a static array, type boolean 9 stuff, and p, like is the stuff present or not. And yes, so for this here, and or maybe complete, and a global boolean for p possible. Initially it is true, and every time I do this, then when I am going through this, I will do, and actually I can do two things at the same time. 9 complete, one for horizontal and one for vertical. In this one, I am going horizontally and vertically. So H, V, and array bracket board I, J. This is I, J. This is vertical, and array does not mean anything. CMP vertical equals true, and CMP horizontal board J I equals true. And after the fact, then I have to go through the whole thing again and see, did I see all the numbers or I did not? Wait, nope, 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 nope. If I see a number twice, that would be a violation, because the thing is not completed. So yeah, before making it true, so CMP V board I board J, if it is true, then P equals false, and break, and then compare CMP horizontal board bracket J I, if it is true, then P equals false, and break, otherwise just put them equal to true, and if not P, then break, and this is like too small. Let me increase the size. If not B, then break, and I'll break out of this in the loop also. After that, when I'm out, um, if not P, if not P, then return false, or I don't even have to break, return false. I don't even have to check this, and yeah, that's cool. Unknown option, line number, and okay, but if I do not return anything at the end of this, I need to check each thing grid wise. So grid 1, 2, 3. Okay, reversing grid wise is kind of not easy. I less than block wise, traversing block wise. Less than 9, 9 I plus plus, and okay, int I equals 0 and j equals 0 and j plus plus, j less than 9, j plus plus, and inside, how do I know? Remainder with 3 would be the vertical offset, and division and division by 3 would be the horizontal, remainder by 3 would be the horizontal offset, and division by 3 would be the vertical offset from the top, and that would give me which grid, which subgrid I have to traverse, and inside that subgrid I do this. Okay, so and v vertical offset equals I divided by 3. At 3 it would be equal to 1, and it h equals the horizontal offset, which is I remainder by 3. Okay, and inside this I will need, when I have the grid, I will need a vertical and a horizontal offset, which should be the same, and inner vertical offset would be now j divided by 3, right? And inner horizontal offset would be I divided by 3, be j remainder 3, which makes sense, and I would do the same thing here. Bool 9 and complete initialize to 0, and inside if that number. Okay, did I do something wrong there? No, no, cool. If complete what? If complete get board vertical offset is v plus inner v, and horizontal offset is h plus inner h. If that is already true, then return false. Otherwise, make it equal to true. Complete board v plus vi plus h. Right, this whole thing. Then go there. This equals true. And yeah, makes sense. Everything makes sense. Let's see. And at the end, I will have to return true. That is also good. Why is that wrong? Why would you expect this after an if statement? Okay, because I came outside. Makes sense. Or there might be a very terrible error. Oh, shit, that looks horrible on line number 12. That actually is horrible. How about now? And now there again there is some error which you can see. Thanks brother for your advice and you are my inspiration brother. I will definitely try to reach your level. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. And I will do my best to keep this up. And the error is in assembly. Shit. Seems like some encrypted TCP package. Line 9 makes so much sense. Shit makes so much sense. -1 because it is 0 indexed. So I can change the size of this thing and make it 10. This also 10 and 10 and here look on 9, remove 10. Let's see. Now it should work or it might not. Again, same error on the same line. Now it should have worked. Buffer overflow. Why would I get a buffer overflow error? Overflow. If from V, CMP. I might be indexing outside, but that does not seem like it. I am not indexing outside. Would I and J? Okay, shit. Makes so much sense. Makes so much sense. Okay. Because these numbers are in string format and the places where there is nothing, those are represented as empty. So I have to see this. If board I j if board ij equals a dot, then I can skip this part, this horizontal, this vertical part. And if this is not equal, which is like if not equal, then only then do this and this And if board j I not equal to dot, only then do this. And I was unable to see this the first time because I am stupid. So I should have seen this the first time I was doing this. It is just I had to see which type of input I'm getting, and then index would be board I j minus 0, and inside this I can say index and something similar here, and replace I with j and j with I, and change inside. Okay, my bad. Inside these brackets ind index, and then of course inside brackets ind index, and see id and index. It makes sense, and I have to do the same thing here. Inside this, make size equal to n, and after getting this, right, if okay okay, if board v plus iv and h plus ih not equal to dot, only then do all of this, and index would be equal to the number that is there, board v plus iv and then h plus ih, and change this whole thing inside brackets. Put this equal to ind, and I should be good to go. Ind, and yeah, cool. Let's see. That should work. I hope. Okay, at least wrong answer is better than not being able to compile. Hey, hello. I solved this question. That is cool. I did see your profile. You have done more questions than I have done, I think. Yeah, and that is cool. That's cool because you are much younger than I am. Why? What does why mean? Why in what reference? I say false, but it should be true. So when do I say false? See out high. Let's see. If I output high, then I do output high, so I am saying false in this part. In this part, I'm saying false, and in the second one, I'm saying false in the above part, so that is cool. And in which one is incorrect? All of them seem to be correct. Yes, all of them seem to be correct. That is why I should have outputted true, but instead I say false. So something is wrong with the indexing. So vi I divide I by 3, that gives me the vertical offset from the top, and right, that gives me the vertical offset from the top, and H remainder 3 gives me the horizontal offset. It is either 0, 1 or 2, and then I do the same thing with J. IV inside vertical offset would be J divided by 3, and horizontal offset would be J remainder 3. That is cool. And then board, I'm checking if it is not equal to a dot, and if it is not equal to a dot, then we go inside, and index is VI, both the outer and the inner vertical offset, add them together, and actually if I do 2 right, maximum VI could be is 2 is 6. Makes sense, makes so much sense. Not just division by 3, divide this thing by 3 and then multiply it by 3, so that it starts from 3 into 3. But does this even make sense? And I have to do this with the outer one. Divide this thing by 3. Yeah, so that I only have 3 and then I go to 6. This does make sense. And still wrong. Still good. If I do this, multiply this on the next line. I didn't do anything in code forces. Yeah, not in code forces, but in lead code. You sent your lead code, and your name is, I guess, Stiff Droid, right? Your lead code name is Stiff Droid, and I saw that. Same here. I haven't done anything in code forces. That is fine. I really want to be good at CP. I will sound so cool, something like achieving highest rank at Code Forces, Lead Code, etc. Yeah, it sounds cool. That is that is partly the reason I'm trying to have a rating of 2000. It is so cool, and only 1% people in the whole world have a rating of 2000. And I'm from AP. Oh, yeah, uh, cool. Okay, and I do understand the problem with which I'm struggling here. The way to iterate through these grids, and this seems fine. This seems vi iteration. This vi iteration seems fine. Does it seem fine? Is it fine? It Nope, nope, it is not. This v is totally fine. If I were to do this, v is totally fine. But this thing, um, I guess doing this on separate line is much better. But this thing horizontal, yep, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 would be like, right, take remainder with 3 and multiply it by 3, right? H multiply equals 3. Yep, makes sense. And now seems like it will work because I have updated the offsets and it still does not work correctly. Given these offsets will work fine. When v equals 0, I will cover all of these, and when v equals 1, I equals 1, I will have is equal to this. And yes, when I equals 0, I will be inside this thing. Remainder would be 0 and v would be 0. Then when I equals 1, this thing would still be 0. This thing would be 3. So that I will be iterating in this. I will be doing stuff here. And then when it is equal to 2, I will be inside this grid, this subgrid. And then when it equals 3, remainder would be 0. I will be like my horizontal offset would be 0 and my vertical offset would be 1, and 1 multiplied by 3 would be 3. So I would be iterating through this grid. So the offset, I offset seems fine, but problem seems like with the J offset. And with J, this seems like absolutely fine. Divide. When J equals 0, I am at the topmost thing. When J equals 1, vertical offset is 0, but horizontal is 1. When J equals 2, horizontal is 3, makes horizontal offset is 2. So I will be here. Yep, I will be here. And when J equals 3, I should be here, which I will be, because vertical offset would be 1 and horizontal offset would be 0, and then horizontal offset would be 1 and vertical would still be 1 and horizontal would be 2. And if that is the case, then why doesn't this thing work? Which is cool. Just practice, give it time and practice. This seems horrible. And now how can I debug this thing? If I want to debug compare, I am initializing a compare list. And okay, so offsets are completely fine. Offsets are completely fine. And index is this thing, which is also completely fine. And if it is already 0 at that index, I saw something equal to 0, equal to not 0, then I return false. Otherwise, put it equal to true and then iterate again. Makes sense. But it doesn't somehow. Let me output the thing. Board, not board, but yeah, board vi plus iv inside and h plus ih beside this thing, and this would be nice. Everything of one block in one block, then see out in new line. And okay, okay, let's see. Yes, shit, of course, shit. -0. Shit, was that the thing? I did something bad. this thing, and I removed that which was bad, and I have to remove this thing. Yep, and here -0. Yep, -0. Yep, cool, cool. -0 was the thing I was missing. And yeah, that's fine. That is one of the best, which is what we want. Again, recognize a good approach where you can store the path in a string like a story and we can store it in a set and look up for elements. I did a complete step by step way on this. If you want, I can resubmit so that it can help you a bit. Okay, yeah, I would like to look at it. So yes, because this way does seem like very cumbersome and very error prone. Right? This part is fine. This part is not that complex when I'm checking vertically and horizontally. But this part, when I'm checking inside a grid, this is a good approach where we can store the path in a string like a story, and we can store it in a set and look up for elements. Let's see. Because I'm doing these problems to learn, so that makes sense. Learning, and yep, my acceptance rate is way worse than yours. See, is right there. And shit, that is cool. Okay, unordered set, and for int I less than er. What is er? Why are you getting so many things? Is this thing? It is CPP. You have created another class. Shit. You have created another class. Okay. Method 2. Okay, you have shit. Okay, method 2. Method 1. Shit. Each row must contain the digits 1 without repetition, 1 to 9, and this. And okay, this is the brute force approach which I implemented just now. That is method 1. And let's see how you are doing method 1. You are storing them in a set. Okay. For row and then for every column. Okay. Checking each row and then checking each column. If it is this, then continue. Okay. And if if there is, then set dot if you find it, and yeah, if you will find it, and then return false makes sense. If you find it, it would not be equal to set dot end, and then you return false. Otherwise, you insert it into the set. Okay. And this thing, shit. Yeah. So this will be initially 0, then 3, then 6, and SR plus 2. This also 0, 3, 6, and traverse board with this and continue. Okay, this like actually feels like more complicated than it needs to be, but that is just method 1. Okay. And I can suppose it is just something similar to what I did here in this second part when I'm checking each grid, and method 2 would be much better. Yep. And method 2, unordered set st, more optimized and better approach. For int I board size, which is 9, and then int j less than board size 0, which is also 9. You see, if it is 0, if it is dot, then continue. Otherwise, string, create a string row equals, string row equals, convert this whole thing into a string. And what is this whole thing? 1, add 1 time whatever this value is. Okay, and then add to it 1 row, 2 row, and then 2 string I. Convert I into a string and column, which is also the same thing. Add column to string j. Okay, jth column you have this thing. On ith row you have this thing, and box to string. So to describe a box, you have to take two things. Okay, and then if st.find row, you are initializing row every time. If st.find in the set, you find I is not equal to, okay, you do not find a row. If you find a row, you find a column, or you find a box, then you return false. Otherwise, you insert all of these things into your set. Makes sense. But isn't this more time consuming? How much? Because for this one, which I implemented, I got 100%, like beats 100% of the users. So what are you getting for your method 2? If you are still here, can you tell me how many people are you beating with your method 2? Because this seems when you are looking stuff up in the set, it takes like string matching algorithm, and every time when you are doing this thing, you are finding stuff in the set here, then here, then here, and then you are doing the same, and you are inserting in the set 3 times here, and you are doing this 9 into 9 times, which is 81. And you are also creating strings and adding strings here, and when you are inserting like this, it creates a copy of the string and adds that copy inside the set. So this is a lot of work. 1 millisecond. And how many people does it say that you are beating with this method? But 1 millisecond is very fast. 1 millisecond is very fast. How would you be getting 1 millisecond? 1 millisecond is very fast. I was solving this yesterday when I was not able to solve it for hours. What I do is I told AI not to give away the answer. Instead, just listen to my logic and make me aware if I am too wrong. And after hours, I was able to solve it. I also wanted to ask, have you ever encountered this kind of problem in CF or a variant of it? And has you solved it without any reference within 30 minutes? That is really impressive. Thank you, but yeah, thank you. And yeah, when I was solving this for the first time, it must have taken me a long time. I did solve it in Python at some point, and see, it beats like only 39% of people. I solved this in March, and yeah, well, just like takes time. 89. So I wonder what the other 89% people are doing. That is cool. That is cool time complexity. So I want to see when you insert a string in a set in C++, does it get copied or moved? It is typically copied. Okay. Yeah, that is cool. That is cool. And now on to the next question after this. Longest consecutive sequence. I I have heard of a similar question, but that is in DP, dynamic programming, and not here. Given an unsorted array of integers now, return the length of the longest consecutive element sequence. Right? Longest consecutive 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so your algorithm must run in this time complexity. Okay, so I cannot sort. I just have to go through the thing once. Mm, It is not sorted. So this is like literal research going on right now. I can only see every element once because of time complexity and like I cannot create nested loops and I cannot sort the thing. So what can I do to find the longest consecutive sequence in this? In this the answer is 9 because I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And since I started with 0, so it is 9. And here I have 1, 2, 3. I cannot sort. That is nice. I solved a question IPO and the question was good. That is cool. What is IPO? What IPO? IPO. Shit. Is IPO like a question? I think this is not the thing. Initial public offering. What is IPO? That would be nice to know. I have already completed playlist of college TSS. So should I start solving problems in LeetCode using this roadmap, LeetCode? Yeah, you should. I mean, if you have completed the playlist and if you know, then you should be able to solve it. So yes, initial public offering. Okay, I guess this is a thing that needs to be calculated. Shit, of course. Shit, IPO. Yes, in stocks, initial public offering. Shit, yes, I forgot. Shit. When a company is not public and it goes public for the first time, it releases an IPO, and that is the initial batch of stocks uh that the people can buy from. Shit, yes, IPO, of course, yes, I know IPO. IPO, that is this. Let me at least see if I can understand the problem. Suppose LeetCode will start its own IPO. That is what it means. LeetCode must not be public, and that is why they are talking about starting their own IPO in order to sell a good price of its share to venture capitalist. IPO would like LeetCode would like to work on some projects to increase its capital before IPO makes sense, so that the stocks sell for higher price. Since it has limited resources, it can only finish at most key distinct projects before the IPO. Help LeetCode design the best way to maximize its total capital maximum after at most k distinct projects. Okay, so far so good. If you are given n projects where ith project has a pure profit I and a minimum capital of this needed to start. Initially you have W capital, and when you finish a project you will obtain its pure profit and will be added to your total capital. So W minus this thing plus this thing. Pick a list of at most k distinct projects from the given project to maximize your final capital and return the final minimized capital. The answer is guaranteed to fit in this, and I have to return the final capital. Okay, I have W, I have K, the number of projects I can choose, and profits and capitals. My capital is 0, so I must okay sort the things depending. Okay, I think I can do this. See, and also like increase the size a bit. That is nice. And okay, I have a bunch of things here. Int diff initially 0 or size n iota diff dot begin and diff dot end and start at 0 and sort diff dot begin diff dot and like see, there is no LSP support in LeetCode, which is kind of crazy. Mm, among those, choose the one with the highest profit. Makes sense. And oh, wait, output is 4. In this, capital is 0. Okay. Okay, sort them basis on the basis of their capital, and whenever the capital is same, sort them on the basis of whichever gives higher profit. Makes sense. So if capital I is not equals or is not equal capital J, if they are not equal, then return capital I less than capital J. Else I don't need a else because I have already returned. Otherwise, return the one with the highest profit. Profit G, profit I, higher, I want higher, profit J, that seems correct. After sorting, I should have this and okay, for int I equals 0 and I less than k and I plus plus, and I am like intentionally not looking at the chat right now. I'm trying to solve this for now. So 0, I would need a thing with a 0 investment, and then given this range, I need to choose the one with the highest profit, and that would be nice. I will have to see how far I can go given this. Shit, this is actually harder than I thought. Yep, subtleties are coming in slowly. Okay, given this, I first of all have to see I can use a greedy algorithm. That would be nice. That would be nice. And from the given projects, which one I can choose to maximize my profit makes sense. Project that I have done initially is 0. And yep, projects that I have done initially would be equal to 0 and int I equals 0 and less than profits dot size and I plus plus. I equals 0. I have a profit. No, not a profit. I have to go forward till capital of the next one. So I need to access next one, and if capital of I plus 1 is greater than W, which means I cannot do the next project. Therefore, I have to see the maximum profit for the current one. And okay, bool uh, vector of bool and completed of size profits dot size and capital I. If this is the case, then before this, if this is not the case, then int mx equals -1 initially, let's say, or 0 would be better. And if this, then the maximum is there, and maximum is the index. I can do complete mx equals true. This one is completed. Therefore, my cost, my w, new w becomes minus capital mx and w plus equals profit mx. And is that correct? First, I will do this 0 minus 0, 1, and a second project. Now I can do this one instead. So I will do this one. So yeah, wait, it was 1. So I have to add the pure profit as a pure profit and a minimum capital. Initially, okay, makes sense, makes sense. So I do not have to do this part. I add the pure profit, that is why it is called pure profit. And if this is the case, then I compare the one with the maximum profit. Mx equals maximum of profit mx. Wait. If the next one is greater, then I actually do something. And if it is not, then it would be like reversed a bit. Then maximum, and if not, then if profit of maximum is lower than profit for the current one, which is I, then mx equals I. And yep, that is cool. And this, and project, number of project increases by 1, and Makes sense. And also completed mx. Mx is the index in profit. And when I'm done with it, done with this, I have to change mx. Mx should be equal to the next one. Yep, mx should be equal to the next one. Mx equals I plus 1. And when I get out, I will see if there are return w. Let's see, is it working? I should get the right answer for the first one at least, or I should get something like this, some error. Vector int, shit, error in the first line. Vector integer called diff of size n, and n is of course not defined because this is not code forces. Int n equals profit dot size and n. Makes sense. Let's see. It is profits. And some other things. Okay, something is wrong with the sort function. What? Ah, makes sense. Lambda has to return something. Okay, profits. 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 And put. And shit. Okay, I should have gotten the right answer for the first one, but I didn't. Output was 1. Output was 1. Okay. I plus plus. Because I never got to the last one, but makes sense because I never got to the last one, and at the end when I am outside I have to update mx with the last one. And makes sense. How do I do that? Wait, and where am I when using the diff array? That is stupid. I'm not using the diff array which I created. I cannot use this thing directly. I have to have a translation layer. I plus 1 maximum makes sense, but I cannot use I directly. I plus 1 diff I, and yep, no other place that I'm using I at except here. I should get the same answer, and shit is in the same tab. Yep. Hey bro, what does CP actually mean? Like, is it some just lead code hard? No, in lead code you have a question and you can solve it and take as long as you want, and you are developing your DSA skills. But in competitive programming there are contests in which you get a set of questions and you have 2 to 3 hours to solve those questions. Like there is a contest tomorrow at Code Forces. Code Forces is a Russian website, and yep, there will be a contest tomorrow. There was a contest on 7th of August, and in a contest you are given questions like this, and you go, you solve the question, you submit your solution, and after the contest there are standings. So these are the people, like this one solved the, there are criteria in which you can judge which person performed better, and based on that you get a ranking list, and accordingly this is like chess elo, your rating, you will have a rating, your rating will go up or down depending on your performance. Mine is 1300, and yep, it goes up or it goes down, like that. That is CP, and yep, that is CP. Competitive programming. Okay, that is horrible. Diff I plus one, and diff has indexes. Okay, I'm using too many of these. I said one. One is better. One is cool. And in the second one, I said three. Three is cool. Answer should have been six, which makes sense because I never went to the last one and I'm not taking care of all the remaining points. And I never went to the last one. So if W, current W is greater than capitals, S capitals, or capital and diff n minus one, then something I will update. Now I can sort the whole thing and go through everything, right? And else something else. So if K, if project and yes, if project is lower than K, only then do this thing. And in here, if project equals K, then break, right? And for this thing, I would like to sort, I can sort the diff thing again. Diff begin till end, and a lambda function takes in I and j and return profit I. I want the greatest profit to be before profits profits I to be greater than profits j. And yep, makes sense. Yep, I can do that. And after this, after sorting, I will see the last one, and now I have the profits in a good order. And for this, I would like to keep int L capital, last capital, diff n minus 1. That is the index of the capital whose with the highest capital. The index of the project with the highest capital. And either my cost covers that right now, then I can go through while project lower than k, which it is, I will do project plus plus and w plus equals this new thing. Makes sense. For int I equals 0, I less than n I plus plus, and I'm iterating through projects, and diff project is the highest one, and if not complete diff I, then I will like to do this project. For that, my cost increases. Project profits diff I and project plus plus. But if it is already completed, then I won't do it. And that is it. That is actually it. And not just everything. Till this is this, and project lower than k. And in this case, after doing the last one, I can see before doing that. Yeah, in this case, I can wait. Actually, I can do all of this simultaneously. Here I equals 0 instead of this less than minus 1k, so that I still have one project that I can choose from. That might actually mess everything up. No, no, it won't. Don't. It it won't. Okay. Okay, increase this. Then after this, when I'm outside, and this whole thing is inside the if. When I'm outside, I have still one project left to do, and whenever I'm doing a project, complete diff I equals true. And I know I haven't done the last project yet. Yep, I haven't done the last project yet. And what I have to see is int I equals 0. And separate this thing. I now points to the largest size of the project, right? And to the biggest project. I points to the biggest project. I can do that now. And there I also have to make sure. And this thing, and what is the index? Index is diff I is not equal to LC, right? It is not the last thing. And if at any point it is equal to LC, then I know I can do that. Okay. And bool left equals false, and else if diff I equals LC, then left equals true. Okay. And then if left, then W plus equals profits for LC, else since I must have been in range, I can do that. W plus equals profits diff I, and I think this will not work. Fuck. Yeah. Okay, W is initially 0, only one project. I can only do one project, and this is it. So in here, I would like to do expected is because W is 0, I cannot do any projects. Okay, I can create an edge case for this. I can create an edge case for this one after sorting. If W equals 0 and and capital for diff 0, the smallest capital, is greater than 0, which is like makes sense. If this is the case, then return 0. I cannot do anything. Hmm. Does it satisfy this thing? Shit, I'm like actually surprised that this thing is working. Think simple, bro. Yo, how many questions solved today? I'll have to see. I have done 2 CP questions and a few lead code questions. I mean, think simple. I guess this is simple. I'm sorting them and then sorting them again, and I can do 2 projects. Makes sense. This should have worked. But the answer would be 1. Makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. I when I'm iterating through that thing through this, then what is the project that I left at? And I equals 0. That is the problem. It is at times hard to think simple. This thing, right? Right. Go through the whole thing. The next one is bigger, then do this. If the next one is, oh, I just keep doing this one. So yeah, shit, that is bad. That is bad. Makes sense. Makes sense. Make complete equals to and max is it still this? Max is still this. While this and capital diff I current capital is lower than W, and that should do some things and not other things. Lower than or equal to. Bruh. Use priority queue instead of outer sorting. Bruh. I can use priority queue. Laptop is almost out. Okay, it has been quite long. A lot of time I have spent on this single question, so I will move on to the questions that I was doing. Right. this thing, this thing, and I can mark this one somehow from somewhere. Attempted. That is nice. Save. Yep. Favorite, I guess. This is the last one that you recommended. And now this one. Yep. I have two questions here now. And in this part, the only thing remaining is one question. I have to return the longest this thing. I can go through this and a map would be nice. I could create a map. I could, but I do not know the order in which I will be seeing elements. Makes sense. The main thing is in this, I have to do this in linear time. In linear time. Given an unsorted array of numbers, return the length of the longest consecutive consecutive sequence. If I rearrange the thing, okay, but time complexity has to be O of n, which is the main thing, which is the main problem in here. Time complexity O of n, and the array is not sorted. The array is not sorted, and the time complexity needed is O of n. Any suggestions how I could do this? Ah, this is not sorted. Shit, I cannot even begin to think how I could do this one. Let's say I go here, and for this 100 to be a part of a consecutive sequence, I would like to see 101 or a 99, and I could, as I'm going, add all of these elements into a set, and when I check is 99 or 101 in that set, if they are not, then I move forward to the next element and I add this to my set. And when I see 4, I would look for 3 and 5, and they are not in the set. I add this in the set and I move forward. I do the same for 200, and when I see 1, I look for 2, and 2 is not there. It cannot have negative numbers. It can have 0. It can have negative numbers. So I look for 0 and 2. If it is not there, I just add this and I move forward. Then I see 3, and since I'm in a set, I can create it and make it an unordered set, and from 3 I will see is there 2 or 4. I will see that there is 4 in my set, so that is cool, which means I can move forward in that direction. Move forward in that direction. But I would also like to have an unordered map in which, instead of going through all the way and then checking again, is 4 a part of a subsequence? I could Like how further along can I go with 4? Instead of doing that, I can create an unordered map in which 4's value would be 1, since 4 has 4 is only a part of a single subsequence. So I add 1, I add the value of 3 to 4. But before updating that, I would also like to see what the other side is and add all of their values, right? And update 3 things. And then for 2, I do the same thing. I see, is there a 3 or is there a 1? I see on one side that there is 1, and on the other side there is 3 whose value is 2 at this point. So 2 plus 1 for this 2 and 1 for this. Okay. So if this thing works, I can do this in some time. And n set and an or yeah, unordered set, unordered set, and an ordered map of int to int mp. And yes, after this, for int I equals 0, I less than nums dot size and I plus plus I see it's yes, mp nums I equals 1, initialize that. And if int l equals st dot count st dot count nums I minus 1 left side question mark. If it is, then mp its value mp nums I minus 1, otherwise left is 0. And same with the right, st dot count nums I plus 1 question mark, does it exist? And if it does, then take its value and make it equal to otherwise it is 0. And I have to update for all of these. And okay, for which I do not want to look there twice, which is crazy. I do not want to look there twice. And this makes sense. No. No, yes, it is, since it is unordered. So yeah, it is cool. It is cool. It is cool. So if so, mp nums I plus equals l plus r. Now, if L. If L does exist, that means I had some element on the left side. I will update that. Nums I minus 1 equals mp nums I, and if R, then do the same thing with this. Instead, make this plus. Cool. And also, shit, I have to return the subsequence itself. How do I keep track of the subsequence itself? Shit, that is crazy. I will keep track of the length. Let's see if I can get the length at least with this. Length equals 0 initially, and whenever this len equals a maximum of length or mp nums I and output length. I am seeing some error, which I shouldn't. Okay, Shit, that is bad. Nums I. I has to be inside. And AC is too high. Okay, there is something wrong. Okay, I have to return something. Return 0. I think I can do this in C++. Return an array like this. Or, yeah, this might be wrong. Return array like this. Will this work? I guess. Yeah, that is cool. Let's see. For this standard output was 1, which is wrong, which is wrong, which is absolutely wrong. It should have been 4. And for this, it was still 1. And for this, it was still 1, which is wrong in all of these cases. Why? And p nums I equal to 0. Okay, 100 equals to 0. And L would equal to something. L would be 0, 0. Right? Makes sense. And R would also be 0. And when I see 3, its value should increase. Not count. So it is returning 0 every time. So st dot count is not working. So do I do find? Just find if this thing not equal to st dot n. And this is something similar, very similar to something I just saw, right? Yo, that is very cool. I should see. No, 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 no. That is wrong. That is absolutely wrong. And it has been quite long. 3 hours is a very long time. And I'm tired a bit. And I want to rest for a while. But I haven't done this one. Yeah, I guess I can rest. This is fine. I can take a rest and do some calisthenics. Do some calisthenics for a while, muscle ups or stuff like that. And yeah, then I will come back and stream tomorrow. This is fine. This is fine. I guess I'm not making any excuses. This is fine. And thank you for watching. Bye.